Okay, Rebecca Johnson from the Green Party. Thank you very much for speaking with me. So the Green Party imagined a fundamentally different kind of economy, really, one that's a lot more sustainable, more considerate of the environment, different in many ways indeed. If the Green Party does well in the elections and picks up MPs and pushes those policies in Britain, is that going to harm Britain's competitiveness to some degree with the rest of the country, to the rest of the world that may not be pursuing green policies? Is there a danger that will harm our competitiveness?
No, it will not harm our competitiveness. Actually, green policies are not just that we imagine them, they're actually necessary if we are to tackle the major challenges that we face, starting with climate change, but also dealing with inequality, dealing with a whole set of issues relating to poverty and poor education and the problems with our health service. Now, we would change the priorities. We would prevent the tax dodging by the big business, but we would grow different kinds of jobs, community-based jobs, community-based shops, localized community-based industry to supply the sustainable, renewable energy. We would change the architecture of how energy is produced as well as how it is consumed. All of that would actually create more jobs. We'd invest in education, so we'd create more jobs in education. We'd invest, and actually we would reinstate the NHS as a fully public service, free at the point of need. And by doing that, we would make sure that it has the jobs that are actually needed to serve the people's interests, and not just for profiteer private companies, which actually cut jobs because they're trying to increase profits. So we would grow competitiveness in the right way, create new jobs, but different kinds of jobs.
Is there not going to be some kind of transitional cost, though? So, moving to this new economy, just as there was when Thatcher introduced her reforms in the 1980s, there was a great human cost while we moved from one kind of economy and political settlement to a new kind. Would moving to a Green Party settlement not then impose some costs, unemployment, higher taxes, a fall in living standards in order to get to this promised land?
There will be transitional changes. I see those as opportunities. With every opportunity, there will be different ways in which jobs and industry and community responsibilities will change and will grow. I believe that very, very quickly people will find that they are happier, healthier, they have better communities, they have better living standards, they have better education and health, which means better security. I believe that transition can be done in the life of one parliament, and that when people have a chance to see what the changes actually do for their lives. At the moment, people are scared that when we say we have to change in order to tackle major challenges like climate change, that what we're saying is we've somehow got to give everything up. What we're actually saying is we've got to change what really matters to us, what the priorities are, and we will find, just as they actually found in the Second World War, but fortunately we won't have a lot of bombs raining on us. You will find that when you're growing your food, when you're building your community, when you've got local generation through wind and solar that is increasing production at the local level and therefore reducing consumption at the central level, that all of those changes actually will make our lives so much better. When we're walking and cycling more, we can invest in the public transport. We won't want to use the cars as much as we did.
And finally, this was my last question. Yes, so the only experience the Green Party has at the moment of executive power is having control of the council in Brighton, and obviously having Caroline Lucas representing the Green Party in the House of Commons. What would you say of those experiences of power at a national and council level have been the Green Party's finest achievements, actually wielding power?
I work quite a lot in Parliament on the nuclear and security issues, and I can tell you I talk to all parliamentary MPs from all parties. They envy us having Caroline as such a leading figure in the Greens, somebody who is unafraid to speak truth to power, but also very clever about how she has very quickly learned how to use the parliamentary system to get amendments in, to stand up for what she believes and what we believe, to fight for what is needed by Brighton on a local level, but to do that in such a way that she's actually bringing policies that we all need at the national level. The other parties listen to her. They pay attention. If one Green MP can do that, imagine what we could do if we had 3, if we had 10, if we had 50 Green MPs. So we need to get a situation where we can actually get proportional representation in, because then more people will actually vote for the policies they want, and those are going to be Green policies. Now, Brighton, they were a minority. They were in leadership of the council, but in a minority. So Labour, shockingly, I mean, they should be so ashamed of themselves to have done this. Labour ended up siding with the Tories, which meant that they were outvoting the Greens. Labour siding with the Tories meant that they had the majority, and they outvoted the Greens, therefore, on budgetary issues that were about ring fencing for social needs, that were about getting equal pay for women working in catering, for example, that was one of the issues that actually led, a bit like with the Dagenham strike, led to men going out on strike because they wanted them to increase the differential again, so that women were going to continue to be paid a lot less for a job that was actually comparable. Now, Labour should have been siding with the Greens on those issues of equal pay, on those issues of ring fencing the budget going into to helping the most disadvantaged and the poorest in Brighton, instead of which the Greens had to be basically fighting against a shameful kind of coalition between the naked greed of the Tories and Labour banding together. And so they learned a lot of hard lessons. I think, as we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years, they learnt those lessons and they've moved on to be incredibly effective. And I hope that they get in again, because I think we will see how effective they really can be.
Rebecca Johnson, thank you very much indeed.